If you're brave enough, hit that like and subscribe, because this story will chill you to the bone. Stay with me till the very end. I promise, by the last word, you'll feel the goosebumps crawling up your skin. Don't say I didn't warn you.
I've always been the kind of person who answers when someone asks me for the time. It's such a simple thing, a moment of connection in a quiet city. Maybe it made me feel useful. Maybe I just didn't want to seem rude. That changed the night I met him. It was late. I'd stayed at work longer than usual, and the streets were nearly empty by the time I left. The air felt heavy. The kind of stillness that makes even your own footsteps sound too loud. I was walking through the park shortcut near my building when I first noticed the sound. Footsteps, not mine. Slow, deliberate, like someone measuring each step. I didn't panic at first. I just kept walking, thinking maybe someone else was heading the same way. But the steps never changed pace. I turned a corner. They turned too. I slowed. They slowed. Then I heard the voice. Not loud, not urgent, just calm, even. He asked me what time it was. I turned around. He was standing under a flickering street lamp. Pale skin. Short, dark hair. Clothes that didn't match the weather. Too thin for the cold. But that wasn't what froze me in place. It was the way he stood. Completely still. Arms at his sides. His head tilted just slightly, like he was listening to something I couldn't hear. I pulled out my phone and said the time aloud. I didn't even think about it, just reflex. He didn't react, didn't nod, didn't speak again. He simply turned around and walked back the way he came, disappearing into the dark. I stood there for a long time, trying to convince myself it was just a weird encounter. Maybe he was on something. Maybe he was lost. But deep down, something felt wrong, off balance. I couldn't shake the feeling all the way home. I locked every door behind me, even the chain, even the little window in the kitchen. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not because of a noise or a dream, or anything I could explain. Just a pressure in the room with me. A feeling that something had shifted. That something had noticed me. And I had no idea just how far that moment would reach. The next morning felt wrong. I woke up late, even though I hadn't slept much. My apartment was freezing, like every bit of warmth had been pulled out during the night. I went through my routine, coffee, news, getting dressed, but everything felt off, muted, distant. On my way to work, I walked past the park where it happened. There was yellow tape wrapped around the trees, police cars, a small crowd. Something had gone terribly wrong. At first, I thought maybe it was a robbery. This city has its share of crime. But then I overheard someone say it was a car accident, a bad one. I didn't want to look, but I did. The remains of a black sedan were wrapped around a tree. Its front was crushed beyond recognition. Someone said the driver had lost control and swerved off the road, full speed, right into the park, in the middle of the night. No one knew why. No skid marks, no signs of braking, just a straight, clean path into destruction. I didn't know the driver. At least I thought I didn't. But something gnawed at the back of my mind all day. A name I couldn't remember. A face just out of reach. That night, I saw him again. Not the driver. Him. The man from the night before. He was standing across the street from my building, just beyond the glow of the streetlight. Not moving, not blinking, just watching. When I looked straight at him, I blinked, only for a second, and he was gone. At first, I told myself it was a trick of the light, my mind playing games. I was tired, shaken, traumatized by the accident maybe. But then it started happening again, at the bus stop, at the grocery store, through the glass at a coffee shop. Always far enough away that I couldn't make out the details. Always just watching. And always after someone had asked me the time. No one had done it yet since him, but I couldn't stop remembering his face, the way he moved, the exact, flat way he asked, like it wasn't really a question, like it was a test, and I had failed it. I started digging. I didn't know what I was looking for, but the sense of dread wouldn't leave me. I stopped sleeping more than a couple hours a night. I kept the lights on. I double-locked everything. But most of all, I started paying attention. It didn't take long to find the stories. Obscure forum posts, deleted threads, a few blurry screenshots reposted by paranoid users. Always the same question. Has anyone ever had a stranger ask you the time, and then bad things started happening? Most of the replies were jokes, of course, but buried in the sarcasm were patterns. People describing strangers with empty expressions, unblinking eyes, a voice that felt hollow, and afterward, something always followed. An accident, a fire, a loss. A few of them said they saw the stranger again, watching from a distance, just like me. One post chilled me to the core. The user described being asked the time outside a gas station. The next day, their brother was in a fatal accident. They claimed to have seen the man again outside the hospital. And one final comment stood out. It was short, just a few words. He only comes back if you answer twice. I couldn't stop thinking about that line. I tried to find the user, but their account had been deleted. Every trace scrubbed, like they never existed. I became obsessed. I watched everyone on the street. I avoided eye contact. I wore headphones, even with no music playing. I ignored anyone who tried to speak to me. Weeks passed. I thought maybe I was safe. Maybe it was all coincidence, until someone at the train station tapped my shoulder. A woman, mid-30s, harmless looking. She smiled and asked if I knew what time it was. I panicked. My phone was already in my hand. I almost said it. The numbers were right there. But I remembered. I shook my head and walked away. My heart was pounding, like I'd just run a mile. My mouth was dry. I didn't even look back to see her face, and that night, I saw him again. Closer this time. Standing at the end of the hall in my apartment building. Still, silent, staring. I slammed the door shut and didn't leave my apartment for 3 days. I know what this is now. It's not random. It's not just a question. It's an invitation. I thought I could handle it. I thought that if I just ignored every person who asked, avoided eye contact, stayed inside, I'd be fine. But paranoia doesn't sleep. It crawls into your thoughts, infects your dreams, warps the edges of everything you think is normal. I started hearing things in the apartment. Not voices, just creaks, faint knocks, the sound of breathing when I was completely still. I ripped the smoke detector off the ceiling once, thinking it was whispering. I was unraveling. Then one night, I woke up at 3:17 a.m. to the sound of the hallway light buzzing. It was flickering like a dying bulb. I peeked through the peephole. He was there, not far this time, just outside my door, not moving, not knocking, just waiting. I backed away, sat on the floor, tried to breathe through it. I don't know how long I sat there, but the light eventually stopped flickering. I looked again, and he was gone. It should have been the end of it, but it wasn't. 2 days later, while walking to the store, an old man stepped into my path. He looked confused, disoriented. He raised a trembling hand and asked what time it was. I froze. I couldn't move, couldn't blink, couldn't think. He asked again, softer this time. I shook my head. My throat felt tight, like something was wrapped around it. He looked disappointed, almost sad. Then he walked away. I made it home, locked everything, sat in my kitchen with all the lights on, and then my phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number, just one sentence. You already answered once. My stomach dropped. I didn't know what to do. I hadn't replied. I hadn't spoken. But I remembered. The first man, the one in the park. I had answered once, and now. It was only a matter of time. I started hearing footsteps in the hallway every night, always stopping right outside my door. I stopped checking. I stopped sleeping. I started counting the days, unsure what I was waiting for. A punishment? A disappearance? A worse kind of ending? Now, every time someone asks me for the time, I feel that panic crawling up my throat. Because I know what happens if I respond again. I know the rule, never answer twice. And if you ever hear someone ask you, you'll want to remember this story. Because if you answer once, they'll be watching. And if you answer again, well, you'll find out.